Hello, everyone. It's Jerry at the Fledge. Welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. And today on the show, we've got our great friend Josh Cooper with SKOOP. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing good. It's great to be here. It's great to see you.
It's great to see you too, man. This COVID
Been a while.
sucks.
I know. I wish I could come down on the Fledge, hang out.
I would love it. I think you might be out here soon, though, if Jeremy Hurt keeps working on his rack and stuff like that.
That's my man. I'd love to.
He's excited about that. I think that's a good connect. But we'll talk about that maybe in a little bit. So what you been up to today?
Today specifically, or life in general?
I don't know. We'll talk about life in general more.
Today's been a good one. You caught me right in the middle of the day. It's a busy day. I always start the day with a workout. Got that done early. We're actually getting ready to launch a new big software update at the end of this week. So Slack is blowing up. The developers are working through the night. So it's busy season for us over at SKOOP.
Well, that's very good. I'm glad you're busy, and good busy too, I think.
Great busy.
So why don't we let people know what we're talking about, and you tell us about you and tell us about SKOOP and your other projects and all that. Anything you want.
Yeah, so I'll start with SKOOP specifically. It really consumes 99% of my time. Basically, at SKOOP, we're the creators of a software product called Signage. It's really a digital billboard software. And the technology enables anybody, anywhere, to turn any screen into a digital billboard. And so we typically have a lot of venues who use SKOOP signage, very high traffic venues where you would see ad space inside the venue, like a mall, an airport, bus shelter, subway station, spots like those. Those are our core customers, and we like building cool technology that helps kind of reinvent the way people interact with the digital screens around them.
Yeah. So you didn't originally start out that way, or actually, let me go to another thing. Tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. I grew up about 20 minutes outside of the city of Detroit, in a town called West Bloomfield. Very niche community, very tight-knit community. And then I went off to Michigan State University. And throughout that whole process, kind of high school and college, I really kind of developed a love and passion for building businesses, and specifically kind of the social entrepreneurship world. There's something that really, really intrigues me and excites me about building a product or service that just improves the quality of life for a high volume of people. And that type of work is really inspiring to me, and I can't see myself not trying to work on that type of stuff for the rest of my life.
Yeah. So how did you get to SKOOP? Like, what was the genesis of that? What kind of clicked one day and you're like, shit, I should do this?
Yeah, definitely. It really started my freshman year of college. I actually developed the initial concept for SKOOP less than 30 days into college. And so in a nutshell, I didn't want to pay for rides around campus. And I wanted to be able to get from the east side of campus to the west side of campus for free and quickly. And I got to school before Bird or Lime scooters and all this, crazy micro-mobility world exploded. And at the time, we really only had, two primary modes of transportation as a freshman. You were not allowed to have a car on campus. And so your only options were really kind of like the CATA bus, public transit, and walking. Maybe an Uber or a Lyft if you could afford it. And so for me, I come from a digital marketing background, and in high school, I started to get very involved in digital analytics and using the Facebook ad suite. And so I kind of just used first principle reasoning and thought to myself, why is it that the Facebook, Google's, YouTubes of the world are digital ad field business models, and they don't charge access to the platform to the end user. I was like, why can't we do that in the physical world too, starting with mobility, and use, vehicles for brand exposure to help local businesses spread messages, and then those businesses fund the whole free ride initiative. And that was really the first business that we ever started. And as that we started with bike taxis, and we put screens on them and sold ads and gave free rides. Long story short, as that scaled, we started to realize there's a really big, there's a lot of lags that incumbent billboard softwares have, and that was kind of holding our business back. So long story short, we ultimately decided to build a new billboard software that was a hell of a lot stronger, powerful, and fun to use. And that's what we've been up to ever since.
So will you give a brief overview of how that works? Like, I know that when I was trying to do something with the Lansing School District, you gave me basically Amazon Fire Stick, right?
Exactly.
Is everything driven by the Fire Stick?
The Fire Stick is one of the most widely adopted media players that we see our end customers use, but we're definitely not limited to the Fire Stick. Pretty much any mainstream streaming device can the SKOOP Signage app can pretty much be added to any type of screen, whether it's a mega jumbotron in a stadium, a 40-foot highway billboard, or a 40-inch flat screen TV in your living room.
All right. So how many times do you think you pivoted from that 30 days into college to where you are right now?
I'm sure along the way, we could argue there's been a lot of really mini pivots. There's really only been one pivot, and that was the ultimate decision to get out of the business of providing free rides, free ad-fueled rides, and get into the business of building the infrastructure that allows other people to provide ad-fueled rides. And then kind of throughout that evolution, we started to realize that, wait a second, the technology that we're building is so much more versatile and has so many applications outside of just the people in the bike taxi community trying to give ad-fueled rides. And so I wouldn't necessarily call that a pivot. I would call it, kind of the realization of a much, much larger market opportunity.
Yeah, I've always appreciated you. You seem to me to be a very disciplined entrepreneur, and by that I mean you follow the methodologies, you use data to make your decisions, and I want pedicabs, man. I love those things. I always thought that was cool. I think it would be great all around the city. I know you're going to tell me then start a pedicab business, but
I've got a few. I've got two idle waiting for you.
Yeah. It crosses my mind all the time.
It's a fun business.
Yeah. So recently you hooked up with Jeremy Light. I mean, not Jeremy Light, Jeremy Hurt. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I think that's interesting because he was on the show. He's the only person whose face has been on the show twice.
Oh, nice. Yeah, me and him actually connected in the comments of a Facebook post.
Yeah.
And so Jeremy is a great guy, and I love the business that he's starting, kind of the bike fueled delivery for local restaurants and local businesses in the Lansing area. And so we know the bike space well, and Jeremy's looking to kind of get some branding on his bikes and even provide some some branding exposure for the businesses that he's doing delivery for. And we know bikes, we know digital screens, and so there were a lot of synergies there.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where that goes. I think that could be very, very helpful to him and his customers. I mean, it's a 2-in-1 solution. It's
Right.
I don't know. It's exciting.
Right. I'd love to see what that. I just think the power of that business model at scale is really crucial, and has a major impact. And I'm really interested in kind of watching the evolution of that business get to that scale.
Yeah. So, when in the beginning you were talking a little bit about the social entrepreneur, the social impact that we can make as entrepreneurs, let's explore that a little bit more. Like, what's on your mind? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think there's a gentleman named Vinod Khosla, who's the former founder of Sun Microsystems and is now running Khosla Ventures. And his whole kind of investment thesis revolves around the idea that if you kind of take a cross analysis of the entire global population, say all 7 billion of us, precisely 10% of us, the top 700 million of us, live what he would call a rich lifestyle. Access to clean energy, access to water, access to an education, access to financial banking services. The list kind of goes on and on. But the real question here is, well, so if the top 700 million people in the world are kind of living this quote unquote rich lifestyle, then how do we get the bottom 6.3 billion people living more like those top 700 million people? And I really think the way to have the highest impact yield and in the way to have kind of the fastest growth and the way to touch the most amount of people for the better, I really think technological innovation is the way to do that. And I think new strides, future strides in the world of AI, and the impact that can have in sectors like healthcare, mobility, cloud computing. I really think these are the types of strides that will really help those bottom 6.3 billion people live more like those top 700 million people. And that type of work it's really motivating to me. It's really inspiring to me. And for me, that's kind of where I want to channel my energy and my team's energy, to have a really macro impact.
Yeah, I love it. So when you think about the future of SKOOP, kind of what's your vision there? Does it get into other technologies? Does it get into other markets? Does it? Yeah.
Definitely. One of the really cool things about SKOOP specifically is the versatility of the product that we're building. It is infinite. And as we start to build more and more features, and as we start to talk to more and more users and figure out ways for our product to enter new markets, we almost kind of, the opportunities start fleeting. And we start to learn more and more places that the technology can go. I think for SKOOP, it kind of like a macro scale, we're really interested in the idea of illuminating community. And I think the democratization of digital billboards and in the billboard space in general is kind of key to that. And one of the things that we see is, if you can kind of imagine like coffee shop community bulletin boards, everyone kind of plays a really fun role in that, from the people putting the messages on there to the people in the coffee shop seeing those messages to the coffee shop themselves and the atmosphere within the coffee shop. And the way digital signage can enhance community, whether it's a mega mural, beautiful piece of art on the side of a building, whether it's a sponsored message or just kind of community outreach, digital signage, I think, plays a much, much more important role than any of us really give it credit for. And I don't see that trend stopping anytime soon. And so once digital is at scale, then we open up an infinite amount of opportunities to kind of integrate new advancements with AI in the way that we can cater content, the way that we can understand how people perceive content, and so on and so forth. So we definitely see many opportunities down the road.
Yeah. Do those relate to, like, when you started, when you were walking around campus and like, man, I wish I had a free ride across campus? There's, that's kind of your problem statement. And you figured out a way to solve that with digital signage, which I don't think anybody just says, I want a free ride. I think I should start a digital signage company. I don't think that connection is something that a lot of people would make. Are you making any other connections like that? Do you see any other big problems that could be solved?
Certainly, I see them as they apply to specifically the billboard space and kind of ad tech as a whole, and then kind of from a more macro perspective, things like 5G, the way higher processing speeds, how that relates to cloud computing, and how advancements in data storage helps us build, more advanced technologies, more robust technologies. I'm seeing this really major trend in the commercialization of outer space, which is a space that just absolutely fascinates me and is definitely one that I'd love to get into one day. But kind of when you look at, companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin and their ability to decrease the cost of access to space, you start to think to yourself, well, wait a second, if the cost per pound to launch something to space is decreasing by orders of magnitude, what does that mean? Can we build cities in space? Can we build cities on other planets? And so I think a lot about how new and emerging technologies in all kinds of different sectors, how those will unlock doors and connect with one another to just unlock enormous, amazing opportunities.
And shout out to Virgin Orbital.
Absolutely.
They didn't blow up this time.
They did not. Congratulations to them. And even I think the Blue Origin guys deserve a lot of credit too. I'm definitely team SpaceX. I'm very biased. I'm a huge Elon Musk fan, but I think just when it's important, it's important that we work on that type of project. I think it's one of those things that kind of pushes humanity forward, and it's more importantly, it's something that inspires people to wake up every day and know that there are people working on making life multiplanetary. That's an awesome reason to get out of bed today.
Yeah. Do you think that helps young people like you, who I know, like, a lot of your generation suffers from eco anxiety, and so, like, worried about climate change, worried about all of that?
Yeah.
Do you think that hope of Mars, or that hope of another place, is healthy?
Without a doubt, I will note, while I am one of the biggest believers in making life multiplanetary in the mission of Mars specifically, I wholeheartedly believe that building a new city on Mars is probably at least 100 times harder than saving our own planet. And so the most treacherous place on Mars is the most treacherous place on Earth is still better living conditions in Mars. And so I don't know if kind of I would encourage the people who kind of have this eco anxiety, these fears of us ruining our planet. I would really encourage those people to kind of channel that energy and figure out a way to get their feet wet and contribute to the solving of the problem. So instead of spending your time, being super fearful about the fact that we're going to blow ourselves up or we're going to overheat, figure out a mission or an occupation that's working on tackling that issue. And this would probably be my advice to all young people, is kind of find an anchor point. And it's better if that anchor point is a big problem that the world is facing, specifically one that you're passionate about. Do whatever you can to pursue a career that allows you to work on solving that problem. I think that's kind of the formula to how I approach a career in the routes that we're going to take at our businesses and future businesses.
I love that advice. That's the advice that you'll never work a day in your life if you take that advice, because you'll be popping out of bed. I'm going to go solve that problem I care about.
You got it. Absolutely.
So one of the reasons I had also asked you that is the byproduct that happens when you're developing technology, you're trying to get to Mars, you're trying to get cargo to Mars, or you're trying to build something that changes the environment of Mars.
Correct.
All of that can be applied on Earth. All
Absolutely.
of that can be applied to problems that we have here. And I just love that about there's things I like and things I don't like about technology progress. That's one of the things I definitely like.
For sure. And again, I think for me, kind of the whole thesis around entrepreneurship as a whole is back to those 6.3 billion people, and kind of the technologies that we're developing that are really sector agnostic are really going to play the most fundamental role in helping those people live more like those top 700 million people. Whether it's a technology that's designed to be used on the earth or off the earth, I think they're all applicable in many cases.
So do you have a mission that is the same as SKOOPs, like you personally versus SKOOPs mission? Do you guys have the same mission, or do you have a personal mission and a SKOOP mission?
I think kind of personally, my mission is really to channel my energy in directed towards building technologies that help those 6.3 billion people just live a better lifestyle. And I think SKOOP's mission, while it's kind of more narrow focused to a very specific industry sector, the same philosophy and ideology applies. We want to find ways to use digital signage to enhance community. That's something that's important to me. That's something that's important to every person at our company. It's important to all of our stakeholders. I think there will be future businesses that will also embody those same philosophies. And I think that's important, that a little piece of the company shares a lot of our personal morals, because it makes the hard times way easier to push forward through. You know, when a global pandemic hits and you really need to take a step back and really assess your business plan and think to yourselves, wait a second, there's big issues happening in the world right now. Is our time best used towards working on this product? And I think that passion piece isn't there, and it doesn't align with your personal goals. It's going to be a lot harder to make it through those tougher times.
Yeah. So let me clarify something. When you say the 6.3 billion living like the other 700,000, you're not talking about driving Bugattis and consumerism. And what are you really talking about when you say that?
I'm really talking about kind of initially the infrastructure. It's not fair that we're able to do this and we don't have any worries that our Wi-Fi is going to go out. Maybe it'll be a deep lag, but I have no fear that my power is going to go out. I have no fear that this water isn't clean to drink. That's not that. Everybody on this planet shouldn't have those fears. From a humanitarian perspective, it's important, but B, I have a really big problem with the fact that I want 7 billion brains working on solving problems. I want 7 billion brains figuring out how we're going to build a city amongst the solar system and colonize the stars. It's unfortunate to me that the vast majority of those 7 billion people don't have the time because to devote brain capacity towards solving those types of problems, because the bigger problems that they're faced with are, where's my next meal going to come from?
Yeah.
how am I going to get water? You know, if I want to open a business, there's not even a bank within 100 miles of me. How do I get a line of credit? And so I really think to myself, you know, the billions of people in India and Africa and China, if we could just improve the quality of infrastructure there, give them adequate energy, adequate water, adequate accesses to some of the resources that those top 700 million people have, how many more Elon Musks would the world have? How many more? I mean, the list goes on and on with, you know, just these kind of iconic individuals. I want that. I want that for the world.
Yeah, you're tearing at my heartstrings. You and I know each other well enough that this is making me really passionate. What you're saying, motivating me is what I might better say. One of our phrases we use a lot around here is that genius is lost in poverty. And that's an important goal of ours as well. And then the other thing I just want to throw out there too is that it's not just the time. It is psychologically proven or neurologically proven that the part of your brain that plans and has vision shuts off when you're trying to survive. So if you're fighting a lion, you're not trying to figure out how you're going to get your release done next month, right?
Sure.
So when you're looking for that next meal, it's hard for you to make the right decision for your future because you're right stuck in the moment at that time. So I love that you're thinking that way and thinking, you know, that genius lost in poverty. It's so important.
For sure. I love that line, and I think it's really true. It's really true, and in a way, it almost makes a business case for wanting to tackle the issues of poverty. And unfortunately, I feel, you know, in a capitalistic environment, sometimes the business case has to be there. You know, good example is maybe clean and renewable energy. It really isn't until the business case is there, the savings on your bottom line by switching to a renewable solar or wind or geothermal or whatever route you opt to. Once the business case is there, well, then it's a no-brainer and everyone's all in. And so I really kind of like the way that you phrase it, because it almost makes this kind of business case. It's unfortunate that it comes to that, but it could be a good initiative to drive it forward.
Yeah. So speaking of driving it forward, what's something you do every damn day to drive your mission forward?
It's interesting. Well, I think it's the stuff that we do every day inside of the business changes from day to day. The routines are very, you know, much the same, kind of rethinking strategy, talking to users, building better product. That stuff doesn't change, but I think the constants are more at a personal level. Like, what are the things that I need to be doing every single day to make sure that I'm fulfilling my obligations and responsibilities as a leader of the company. There's a lot of obligations that I have to our end customers to make sure that our product works so that their businesses can grow. There's obligations that we have towards all of our shareholders from a financial perspective, and then of course our employees who make it all happen. I think for me, you know, I try and take care of me every day, and there's a lot of things that I do constantly, especially every day, that are built into my routine that are all designed to help me fulfill my responsibilities to all of those stakeholders. In 2021, I've started to be a lot more intentional about kind of separating a regimen for physical health and mental health. I think in years past, I've blurred the two. And I've kind of thought to myself, I'm going to the gym tackles. If I go to the gym, then I'm working out my muscles, I'm getting stronger, and so is my mind. And I'm mentally sharp because I go to the gym. And I think what I've realized is that those are two very different things. Kind of the regimens that I have for kind of taking care of physical health are really different than the ones that I do for mental health and The gym is crucial. Kind of mindfulness and meditation is a new one that I picked up within the past 60, 90 days. But I'm intentional about doing those things, and I build those into my calendar. I don't let anything get in the way of doing those.
That's awesome. It's earlier today I was on a mentoring call, and a guy was talking about the gym, and I was thinking about the mental health effect that opening a gym could have on a community.
For sure.
And I kind of retracted back from it because I don't know that it's true. Like what you're just saying. Like I was disagreeing with my own thoughts earlier about that.
It's interesting, right? Because they all feel, it's like good sleep, good eating, good physical fitness. It's like the blend. It's like a smoothie, you can't have way too much banana. There's just this blend. You need them all. But like no one ever had a smoothie with just banana. I mean, come on, you need at least like one, at least two, or a strawberry,
Yeah.
You need them all.
Yeah, it's a balance. It's a complicated system. And I like that you're making that distinction of separating those two. I think that's good advice to anyone listening. As we kind of, every show, we daisy chain the shows together. And yesterday on the show, a kid named Trevor Devine, he's a musician out in Minneapolis. His question for you is what's been keeping you motivated during COVID? Do you have any tricks that help you pop out of bed, or have you just been put your blinders on and full force ahead?
I have kind of two thoughts on this one. One is there are real end users of SKOOP signage that rely on the product to generate substantial revenue for their businesses. If we shut down for any reason, I think a lot about the families and the businesses that get impacted by our product not being on. I think about that a lot. There are a lot of businesses that started to use SKOOP signage in the COVID months as a second stream of revenue for their business. And so I think, number one, the work that we are doing is important. And that helps a lot. That helps get through really dark times. And I think kind of the other more macro one is, no matter how dark the today may seem, for me, tomorrow always feels brighter. And I know I'm relatively lucky to be able to have that mindset, but I really would encourage people to kind of step out of today and think about the Elons of the world, and the mission to Mars is being worked on, whether there's COVID or not. Advancements in technology that will help those 6.3 billion people live more like those top 700 million people, those are happening regardless of what's happening with COVID. COVID is there are pros and cons to it. It's helping speed up a lot of technologies. It's slowing down a lot of technologies. I was just reading how autonomous driving data took a big hit from the COVID lag. But no part of me ever wakes up thinking tomorrow is darker than today.
Yeah, I love that. I have that eternal optimism too. And, I often say in my head that hope is the last to die. If you can always keep hope alive, you got something. You're still in the game.
It's crucial.
So on the show tomorrow, I've got Marcel, who is he runs the Lansing Barber College. And what question would you like me to pass to Marcel?
Marcel, I'd love to know if there were no boundaries, not keeping this within the laws of physics, or you had an infinite amount of capital, what piece of technology would you build to solve what problem, and why? Why would you build that technology?
I love that question. And one of the best parts I love about that question is that you don't put a boundary on the laws of physics.
Yeah.
Because most people don't know the laws of physics are inevitably wrong. Given time, things will be proven wrong.
Sure. I that would be a crazy day. But I think, yeah, the laws of physics hold us back quite a bit. Or they give us a boundaries to work within. And if we can stretch those boundaries, I think that's rapid innovation.
Yeah. So what would you do? Or what technology would you want that you would use every day?
I would have to solve the challenge of traveling at or faster than the speed of light. I really believe there's so much to explore. There's so many questions about what's beyond and where we came from. And I think just the ability to travel, not maybe time travel, but more specifically, like just the ability to like teleport or travel so much faster, will help us colonize the stars much quicker.
That's funny that you chose that, because I thought when I was talking about the physics thing, like the speed of light being a constant and a constriction, I don't agree with. I think that Einstein's wrong. And I've always thought that. I don't know why. I studied a lot of physics and a lot of quantum physics, maybe 20 years ago.
Right.
And my hypothesis has always been there's something wrong there.
And another thing too, just like if we do have the ability to, perhaps the laws of physics, or the ones that we know are subject to just the Earth, just the solar system, or our universe. What happens in other solar systems, or what happens in other pockets of the universe? I don't know. If we can get there, maybe we would know whether he's wrong or right.
Yeah. We're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out.
I need your help to do it, Larry.
That's nice. So as we wrap up here, what do you want to leave us with? Is there anything big that you want to announce about SKOOP? Do you got some advice for us? You can talk for 10 more minutes if you want. I don't, what would you like to go out with?
I think those 6.3 billion people, just whatever you're doing, if you can't see how it's helping more people live a better quality of life. And one of the really important things to note here is no one is saying that you need to develop technology or be working on something that has a super high impact yield in the amount of people. If you build something that makes the lives of 10 people exponentially better, that's a win. And we need a lot of you in a lot of us doing that. I think you get more brownie points for the higher kind of touch the touch point is. And so it just, if you're not working on something that's making the lives of some group of people better, maybe just kind of reassess what you are working on. And then from a SKOOP level, we're gearing up to launch our full-scale app for the first time ever. We've been waiting for 2021 for quite a while. Starting in February, anybody, anywhere can turn any screen into a digital billboard and generate revenue from it. So whether that's a venue, whether it's Jeremy and his bicycle around town, and anything in between. We'd love to kind of help brighten up the community and your business with our technology. And so please check us out at skoop.digital, or reach out to me directly, Josh, at skoop.digital, and we'd love to chat.
All right. So I'll put those links and stuff like that in the video later today as I post it and all that. And Sean Watson out in the crowd just says 10 blossoms because they all touch families. I love how you qualified the small amount as being meaningful. I sometimes think, and I agree with Sean, I agree with you, that, you know, if we were surrounded by 700 million people and all of them were just working on 10 people, we'd have that's obviously the math.
Only way to do it.
But wouldn't it be great to be surrounded by people that their mission is to help other people? And
I promise this isn't a paid promotion at all. I think that's why, you know, organizations like the Fledge are so crucial. Creating environments where people can connect with an entrepreneurial fire in other entrepreneurs is important. A lot of people don't know entrepreneurship is an avenue to go. They don't even know that that's an option. And so I appreciate the work that you guys do at the Fledge, and I think those types of communities and ecosystem that foster entrepreneurial fire, we need those everywhere.
Yeah. So stay tuned for 10,000 Fledges every Sunday at noon. So, but thank you, Josh. You're right. I didn't pay you for that, and I appreciate that. And I certainly believe that entrepreneurialism is a large route that people should take to end poverty. And, you know, it's always funny to me how many people I talk to that don't think they're an entrepreneur. They don't consider themselves an entrepreneur. And I think sometimes it's because they don't own a suit and tie.
Right.
You know, and that's not what an entrepreneur is out there getting gritty, solving the world's problems. And I love what you're doing, Josh. I like how you think. I love how you're thinking. I love the mindset that you're trying to create for all of us.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me. This is really fun.
Thank you so much, Josh. So everyone out there, I will see you later. Stay tuned for another episode of Every Damn Day tomorrow at 2. And man, you're a badass, Josh. I appreciate it very, very much.
Thanks, Jerry.
See ya.